Okay, Katie, welcome back. It's so fun that we're getting together now to talk about another important topic that we just talk about all the time amongst ourselves, but we want to share it with all of the people that we engage with.
True. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
So you turned me on to the February Clear. I had never heard of such a thing. And after doing it, I felt like not only was my house transformed, but my mindset was transformed. Tell us more about that.
Absolutely. So the February Clear, just real quickly in a nutshell, is day 1, you get rid of one thing, day 2, 2 things, day 22, 22 things. And if you go through the whole month like this, you get rid of over 400 items. And it's something I've done for a few years, and it's so much more fun to do with people. And in fact, this year, it was the most fun of all because we joined forces and had folks at Truemedicine join along, and people were posting pictures every day in the forums, and just the momentum which really kept me going and inspired me in a new way. I think I got rid of 663 items in February, and like you, felt not only better physically in the environment, but also mentally. It just seeing clear spaces just really created a sense of calm. So it's a really positive thing. And I'm so glad we did it together.
It's so rare to come across someone who doesn't have a lot of stuff. And I work really hard at that, but I still have stuff to give up still. But when we live in a culture where consumerism is the way we get the economy going, it's how we entertain ourselves, it's how we fill the hole on the inside with the things we buy from the outside. It's no wonder that people don't even use their garages to park their cars anymore. They just, I have to say, we at some point were storing 3 or 4 artificial Christmas trees. They were not mine, but they were someone else's. I won't say who, but who needs 4 artificial Christmas trees, right? And so consumerism and this problem of buying things has gotten out of hand, and it's impacting the home environment and also our mental and emotional health.
Absolutely. And I think this time of year is the perfect time when everybody's thinking about spring cleaning to kind of add this to the list. And, in fact, the February Clear was so inspiring to me and a few of my friends that we're continuing it in April. And I think, find your motivation, find your reason. For a couple of my friends, they're having house guests at the end of the month, and they haven't had guests in a long time, and they're kind of nervous about it. And it said, okay, well, get your whole family to start getting ready, use that as kind of a goal. And it's really exciting. So we're doing kind of what we did together in February, where we're sending pictures. And again, it's just so motivating and fun when you do it together.
Absolutely. And for people who didn't do the February Clear with us, you could do this any month. It doesn't have to be February. So it's April. You can do that starting this month. And we want to keep building on it, because once you clear the house, the next step is to not bring more crap into the house. So how do you do that? And that's the focus of another challenge we're going to be doing to build on these, mindset of just having less stuff and live with less and to declutter. So tell us about what we're going to do, Katie.
We're going to do a no buy challenge in May, which is something very, very new to me, but it is something that you've done before. And so I'm really excited to hear from you today more about what that will look like.
Yeah, I'll definitely talk to you about my year of not buying things, which was transformative. But, we want to today talk about how to keep our houses clutter free and how not to contribute to consumerism and how to create a healthy home. So as always, any kind of shift starts with awareness, right?
It does. And, that's one of the things, the most important things I've learned from you over the years is just the interconnectedness and how everything impacts our health. And we just, it's so easy to lose sight of that. And so, understanding how sleep is connected to my exercise and, how all of that impacts my immune system. And frankly, environment. All of the things I put in, on, and around my body really, really matter. And I can't tell you how many years I bought things that I thought were safe because they were advertised as such, natural, for example. And, I just think that there's so much more we could be doing to make our environments, both within the home and beyond, more healthy. So I'm really excited to kind of work with you on this next step. And can you kind of share with us a little bit about consumerism and how that specifically negatively impacts our health?
So when we buy something, there's always a process behind it, right? Like if you buy a hairbrush, that thing had to be made in a factory somewhere and then shipped over to you. But in that process, materials were released into the environment that were not natural. We call them pollutants or toxins, man-made toxins, right? And so the factory put all this stuff out because you needed a brand new hairbrush. And then in the process of transporting it over to you, there was more stuff released into the environment. And then you bring the brush into your house and you use it. And then, there's as with any product, there's this concept of off-gassing where, the material starts coming off of it. Like, have you ever smelled your shower curtain? Yeah, those are molecules coming off of the shower curtain that you can smell. And so there's that process of off-gassing. Now you're putting this stuff into your home. And then when you're done with that hairbrush, what do? You throw it away, right? It goes to a landfill and it sits there for a really long time. Like, how long do you think it takes for a hairbrush to decompose? I don't know the answer, but I would say decades maybe, right? So think about every single person on the planet buying a hairbrush, but that's not all we buy, right? We buy so much. And so if you think about all of the stuff we're putting out into the planet, it's massive. And I'm not going to say that we need to all crawl into a cave and just stop using everything. Like, that's not what the modern world is. But we can be more mindful about picking and choosing what processes we support, what things we bring into our homes that we truly need and can't do without, and what things we can let go of. Because the more mindful we are, the better care we're taking of our planet. And something I feel like that gets missed all the time is we talk a lot about human health, but we forget to tie human health to environmental health. We are one big ecosystem, right? And when there's trash and pollutants out in the environment, it gets into the air, into the water, into the soil where we grow our food. And when we consume foods that have toxins in them, when we breathe air that's polluted, when we drink water that is full of toxic chemicals, we now introduce all of those things from the environment into our bodies. So the health of humans and the planet are intricately connected. And we all have a role to play in keeping the environment healthy. Like, you wouldn't trash your house, would you, Katie?
No, although there are some areas that do need cleaning, but that's what this is all about, right?
Yeah, so keeping the planet clean is really important. And so it's more than just choosing non-toxic products. It's choosing less products. Everything is a strain on the planet. And so being mindful about how we design our home spaces, our workplaces, is really important, because those are the spaces we interact with and they influence our health.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad that you brought up that like hairbrush example, for example, because, I think a lot about 7th generation living, which is kind of what our planet will be like for 7 generations from now. And, that hairbrush, when you pose the question, how long will it take to decompose? I thought about that, and certainly beyond my lifetime. And so if we think about how we're building up all of this trash, like, that's going to have a huge impact for our children's children and their children. So I'm so glad that you're bringing this to light and that we're going to actually do something about it together. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about how you've cut down on consumerism.
I don't know where this idea came from, but a couple of my not high school friends, and I kind of got the idea of like, let's not buy anything for a year. And at that time, I think I had a 1 or a 2-year-old. So of course, you need to buy things for your little one, but we limited it to the essentials. So if you needed a shirt for work, you could buy that. But if you just wanted a shirt for work, you could not buy that. You had to make do with what you had. And we did this for a year, and it was actually really not as hard as I thought it would be. And there were some really important lessons that I learned. First of all, I only wear 10% of my closet. Right. And I bet other people do too. Like, we have things that are hanging still with price tags on, or, they just look better on the hanger than, it's not the thing you're actually going to put on and go out. So what I realized was I actually don't need 90% of what's there. And to this day, I pride myself on the fact that I have a really small closet, because I actually wear everything in my closet because it's tiny. The other really important lesson was that there was no need to go to the mall anymore for entertainment. You know how you do that with your friends? You're like, oh, let's meet at the mall. Yeah, no, we didn't want to meet at the mall ever, like at all anymore. The focus of our time spent together or entertainment became other things. It became, let's go for a hike. Let's go to the park. So the mall was not where we were going to go, even if it was just to eat something or go to the little dumpy playground for our kids, the indoor playground they do, because inevitably you'll see something in a window and you'll go, oh, it's on sale. That would look so great in my closet, right? So those were some of the main things I learned. And amazingly, a lot of that has stuck, actually. It really changed my relationship to this need to buy things, because I have to say, I think a lot of us feel good for a short period of time when we buy something. Retail therapy is a real thing.
That is. And, I'm so glad you mentioned that too, because so often we buy things because we think they're going to make us feel better. And then they sit there like with the tag still on, right? And we don't actually use it. A good friend of mine who wrote The Mystic's Path talks about claiming. And, it's when you buy something or you bring something into your home, does it just sit there, or do you actually claim it and use it? And, a big example of this is gift certificates or gifts that you get from other people. Are we using them? And so, I'm thinking a lot about this as I continue my clearing process. What am I also claiming? Or if I'm not going to claim it, I'm going to get rid of it. And I'm certainly not going to purchase more of that coming up in our Buy Nothing month.
So in that Buy Nothing month, we can really focus on claiming, right? And if you don't, then it's got to go. And so maybe we could just find 5 or 10 things that we can apply that to. It's actually a huge start. And if you're not using it, if you get rid of it, like, you'll just love your home space better because things will just look better, right? So there's so many solutions to buying less and contributing less to this process of manufacturing and the inevitable pollution that's on the other side of it. Let's talk about some of those things. So stay tuned. We will do another episode and we'll put more information out on social media about the Buy Nothing challenge for a month that we're going to do in May of this year. And, but in the meantime, let's talk about some other tactics so that we can all kind of get into the right mindset when May 1st rolls around.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So we're going to be looking around our homes for opportunities of things to get rid of. We're going to be giving things away that we don't need. Let's also talk about repurposing. You had some really great ideas about repurposing items.
Yeah. So glass jars that foods come in, some of them are actually really kind of pretty. So I keep them, and we kind of like having a eclectic mix of cups for drinking. So we do that. I use those jars and containers to store like knickknacks inside my drawers. Amazon boxes, if they're small, I cut the tops off and stick them in a drawer. And now I have like a little space to put things in, and things look so much tidier when there's like borders around it, like with a little box. And they're all, the brown color. So they all kind of match. What else? What else can we do?
I mean, I love just giving things away on buy nothing pages. You know, my neighbors, it's a joy to give them things that I don't need. And along with, you know, giving things away, I also think I want to learn more about buying things used. And I know you're kind of an expert on that. Can you tell us a little bit about some of your great experiences buying things used?
Sure. You know, I used to buy a lot of things on Craigslist because, you know, it was inexpensive and I was giving it new life and I wasn't contributing to that process of manufacturing. So for me, those were my values, right? And that's how I place value on an object, not because it's expensive or it's fancy, but because I saved it from going to the landfill. I have to say though, Craigslist has gotten a little expensive where you're like, I think I could just buy that new, you know, which would defeat the purpose. But there are websites like Craigslist, like nextdoor.com is one that we use. And we have our own neighborhood website too, where people give a lot of things away to each other. But a couple of things to take into consideration when you buy used is make sure that it comes from a home that is smoke-free, because when someone smokes in a home and that smoke deposits onto surfaces, it starts interacting with maybe the glazing or the paint on something, and it actually creates a more toxic compound. We call that third-hand smoke, right? As if it wasn't bad enough we had to deal with first and second-hand smoke. Now there's third-hand smoke. So buy it from a home that can tell you that they don't smoke in their home. And then again, look for things that are, you know, hopefully non-toxic, you know, not a lot of artificial, you know, parts or components. And it's hard to do, but you know, it's something that I think about when I'm going to bring something into my home. Do I want to also bring those chemicals into my home?
Really, really smart. One thing that I've been working on is buying less but higher quality. You know, money sometimes is tight, especially for those of us that are disability retired. And so it can be really tempting to buy a lot of things that are less expensive. And so really just this last 6 months or so, I've really tried to make that shift toward buying fewer things, but higher quality things that are going to last. So for example, this winter, I bought my first pairs of wool leggings, and you know, they're amazing and they're so skin friendly. So for anyone who has any skin irritation, they've been lovely. And I thought before that I was allergic maybe to wool, but that's just because I was using cheap wool. So I've learned a lot about, you know, being healthy and purchasing healthier clothing for myself by like going a little higher in the budget, but buying less.
For sure. I have actually a great example too. I didn't know that running socks were a thing. And it felt so ridiculous to pay like $15 for a pair of socks. But they are my luxury and they feel good every time I wear them. And I'm now a sock snob. Like I won't wear other socks because they're just not the same, but they're of also good quality. So they've lasted. And so if you think about it, you know, over the lifetime of that object, it's probably not as expensive if you're not having to replace it all the time. So it is definitely better to buy higher quality and buy less stuff. I think I recycle the same 4 pairs of socks because, you know, you do laundry halfway through the week, right? It's all you need. You don't need a bunch of stuff. Same thing with bed sheets. Yeah, like bed sheets too. I have really good quality organic linens, but I have one set. So I don't get to like take a sheet off, you know, take one set off and pull out the next one immediately. I got to wash it and put it right back on, but I'm just used to it. And I love sleeping on that one set that I have for every bed.
Wow. Wow. That's inspiring. I have way too many. I think I'm going to go tackle the linen closet after this.
Oh,
What
for
are some
sure.
other solutions you'd like to share with us today?
You know, thinking about buying products that are more planet friendly and non-toxic. One reason is because you don't want to expose yourself to those toxic materials, but you also don't want to get those toxins out into the environment. So for example, buying shampoo. You actually turned me on to shampoo bars where there is no plastic to throw away when it's done. So I find that like a win-win situation. And I also think about another example would be like the soap we use, right? If it's toxic, it's one thing if it's going to get on your body and into your body and you know, get the toxins in you. But when that soap goes down the drain, do we have a right to put toxic chemicals down our drains because we chose to use, one of the soaps you see advertised on TV, or I don't know if people watch TV still. I don't, but, but, thinking about what is the downstream effect of me using this product? Am I putting toxic materials into the planet? And then one other thing that actually I started thinking a lot about is clothing. We don't usually think about clothing as being toxic, but I came across an article talking about PFOAs, which are those forever chemicals. A lot of them are these like non-stick water repellent type materials that are found in Gore-Tex, Stainmaster, the spray you put on your shoes to make them waterproof. But guess what else? Yoga clothes. This broke my heart because I love my tight, yoga pants that like suck everything in. And I'm like, oh, it's so much better now, right? But all of that comes at a cost. That material is not natural and you're putting it right on your body. So I am in this major dilemma right now of like, what do I do with all these yoga pants my like 3 pairs of yoga pants that I love? And let me tell you though, I do have a company that I like to buy clothes from. It's called wearpacked.com. And they have leggings and yoga pants that are organic cotton. So when we use organic cotton, we're not putting all kinds of chemicals into the environment when we're dealing with non-organic cotton. And they're not that much more expensive. And if you buy just a few pairs that you love, then that's all you need.
For sure.
I hope I didn't just ruin yoga attire for people. I'm so sorry.
I don't think you did, but I've thought about that too. As a longtime backpacker, I had a lot of synthetic clothing. And, one thing I also heard is that it's essentially a trap for mold and things like that too, because of the way the fibers are. It's really easy for there to be contaminants and all of that. And, as someone who had pretty major disruption and skin sensitivity for a long time after my MS diagnosis, I had to make a real shift in my clothing. And in doing so, all of those irritating skin sensations I was having are all gone. So I just really want to let people know, if you're listening today and you have that irritating skin, that, this kind of shift can actually really make a difference in your health and the health of our planet. So it's a real win-win. So thank you for bringing that up today. I think it's really important that we think about that.
And, as part of just trying to neutralize the stress we put on the planet when we buy things, I think it's actually really important to go out and do things for the environment where we're giving back. So, doing a neighborhood cleanup. We spend a lot of time in our neighborhood. We live at a place that's really beautiful, but unfortunately it's on the way to a landfill and people don't want to pay to dump. So they just dump it on our beautiful scenic highway. And so, we kind of got fed up with it. So our neighbor and our family, we decided we were going to do a neighborhood cleanup. So we do this now 3-4 times a year, and it feels good to get that stuff off the road, off the side of the road. And, it's amazing what people will dump, the couches and half of a car. I mean, like we found all kinds of things down the hill, but pulling those things out means that now those things won't decompose into these beautiful natural areas. And so it's our way of giving back for the stress that we put on the planet just by really existing, right? And using all of the resources of the planet. And there's so many wonderful ways of thinking about setting up an event that's zero waste. So we have an annual fair that happens here. So our family has become synonymous with trash and trash cleanup. So, we always go in and try to help with making sure that at the end of the fair, there isn't a bunch of stuff that has to now go to a landfill. So we carefully choose what types of containers food will be served at during the fair. And then me and my kids each stand at a trash station and we help sort. Some stuff goes into compost, the other stuff goes into recycle. Very few things go into the landfill box. So these are just ways that we can all start doing our part.
I love that you mentioned that too. I think so many people now order takeout so frequently, and we maybe don't think about the packaging. Oftentimes I'm starting to see that there's options, click this box if you don't want silverware or paper plates or things like that. And I think just the more that we each become aware and bring less into our lives and into our homes, and we'll have the less impact on the planet, and it's going to be better for all of us. So I'm super excited to do this in May. Is there anything else you want to share with people today before we go?
I hope that you all join us on this challenge of buying less. It's just a month. Just remember, I did it for a year. You could do a month. And you know what? You got to wrangle other people in to get them to do it. It's really fun. It's contagious in a good way. And it'll just make your home feel good. And it's one more thing you're dropping into this big puzzle of helping yourself live better with MS. Our home environment matters, and creating a healthy home is really important for not just our physical health, but our mental and emotional health. So I'm looking really forward to doing this with everybody in May.
Can't wait.